it's Natasha from YMO Homeschool. Today I'm here to show you the Rhyme and Reason series, Leviticus. I have another video I did on Esther in this same series, and I will link that in a card and down below, so make sure to check that out. That video really shows how this series works, what it's like, talks about the Book of the Month Club and everything. So please do check that out. But in today's video, I wanted to read to you a little bit of Leviticus. I won't read the whole thing, but that way you can see the writing style. That's really engaging and really fun, and these pictures are just hilarious. This is by Catherine Zoller, and she has graciously sent me Esther, Leviticus, and Revelation to review and to show you guys. And then we have about the author and about the illustrator. And then we have an introduction. So let me read this to you. Many deep truths are in the book of Leviticus, the third holy book after Genesis and Exodus. When at first you try to read it, it may seem like a bore, like something you would read if you need a real good snore. But let's look a little deeper at all God has to say and see just how these things might still apply to us today. It's basically a handbook for all God's holy priests, explaining all their conduct for sacrifices and for feasts. It's also a manual to help with desert living, to keep God's people safe and away from idol serving. This sacred book derives its name from the faithful tribe Levi, who refused to bow down before the golden calf at Sinai. The Jews were set apart to be a witness to the world, so God's plan of salvation could begin to be unfurled. The sacrifices and the feasts create a living picture, God's relationship with Israel as the central fixture. He was their God of covenant who always dwelt among them, and Leviticus explains how his people were to serve him. The theme within the book is to be set apart or holy to the God of heaven and dedicated to him only. And once you understand that, you can't help but be awed because it's all about the holiness of our great God. Like I pointed out in Esther, each time you see this decorative letter, that's a break in the narrative. So these are really easy to break up over the course of a few days if you want to spread this out and not just read it all in one day. Leviticus begins as Exodus comes to an end, filled with serious instructions that God felt he should send to the children of Israel who had promised to obey. And so God spoke to Moses, told him everything to say. He outlined 5 main offerings commanded for the Jews, and each there was a purpose that was brimming with good news. The sacrificial system was the heart of dedication, where God bestowed forgiveness in a solemn celebration. True worship of the living God meant sacrifice for sin, till one day when the Son of God would give his life for men. They were to take a perfect male from out of their livestock, a free will offering chosen from their herd or from their flock. 1 burnt offering. Palm Sunday, spotless lamb is chosen. First, there were burnt offerings for forgiveness of their sin. The priest would transfer guilt by laying hands upon its skin. Priests lay hands on head of sacrifice. The animal was slaughtered, and its final steps would falter. Blood taken from the sacrifice was sprinkled on the altar. It was a stark reminder that the price of sin is death. As they stood and watched the creature as it took its final breath, the meat was cut in pieces and then laid upon the wood. The aroma rose to heaven. God pronounced that it was good. The purpose of this grisly sight reminded everyone that sacrifice is crucial for our sin to be undone. The animal gave up its life in place of someone's own, and by its blood until next time would for their sin atone. But this was just a preview of God's great salvation plan when Jesus made a sacrifice for all of fallen man. In his good time, he would provide the perfect sacrifice when Jesus, God's own Son, would give for us his life. They seasoned it with salt before the animal was roasted, and part of it was eaten by the priest when it was toasted. Next offered was the grain mixed up with oil and frankincense, and then the first fruits offering with each person presents. It was given to the priest with neither yeast nor leaven. Its soothing sweet aroma drifted slowly up to heaven. Third, there comes the peace offering, similar to the first, a symbol of the meal God shares with those who for him thirst. A young lamb or a goat, pure, innocent, and bleeding, was sacrificed to the Lord there in the tent of meeting. Again, its blood was sprinkled on the altar and the ground, and the priest then lit the fire that consumed it all around. The blood and fat and offering presented to the Lord, God's portion of the sacrifice, was not to be ignored. Next, there came an offering for accidental sin. You didn't mean to do it, but were made right once again. The blood of a young bull was sprinkled just before the veil, then taken from the camp and burned. In this they could not fail. Last, we find the guilt offering for damage that was done to person or to property. Restoration could be won. Okay, and then we get to our narrative break there. So let me flip through the rest of this book for you so you can see what it looks like and how detailed and beautiful it is. Notice there. Jews news. Holiness code. Seventh Feast of the Lord. I'll read this last page. Throughout this book, we catch a glimpse of God's eternal plan, and now we know he sent his son to ransom every man. He's the substance of the shadows and fulfillment of the law. Our great high priest is Jesus, and of him we stand in awe. Okay, so check out the Rhyme and Reason series. I'm going to link the website down below. Make sure you check out the Esther video to get a good idea of this program and how it works, or I should say, it's not really a program, but these books, the series, and you'll get a lot more information from that. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment down below if you have any questions or you just want to say how awesome these books look, and I will see you soon.